The theory, official definition, is simply the suggestion that groups of people come together to secretly manipulate in the background to change society or make things happen that they wish to happen or change. On that basis, we are drowning in conspiracies. And of course, if you look at the background, the term conspiracy theory or theorist came into wider use thanks to a specific campaign by the CIA in the 1960s to discredit those who quite rightly were exposing and questioning the ludicrous official story of the assassination of JFK, of Martin Luther King, of Malcolm X, of Bobby Kennedy, etc., etc. So, when the mainstream, which is the mainstream of the madhouse, whether it's media, politics, corporate entities, banking, whatever it is, when they call you crazy, you know you're on the right track. And, what I would suggest much of the alternative media needs to do is have a look at itself and question whether in so many areas it is a mirror of the mainstream that it so reviles and despises. Because what the mainstream does in all its forms, it takes the official version of everything as its norm. So it takes madness as normal. And if you are if you're brought up in a crazy house, a madhouse, and that's all you've known since birth, then crazy is your normal. To you, crazy is normal because it's all you've ever known. When someone comes into that crazy house and says, "Hey, this is crazy," then you see them as crazy because they are talking about something that's outside your normal. So normal, which is kind of used as a label of confirming your sanity, oh, he's normal, is actually merely the perception of something, including the world, that you have developed as a result of your experience. If you're brought up a Muslim, then pointing to Mecca 5 times a day is your normal. If you're brought up a Christian, then going to church on Sunday is your normal. It's only what you have normally experienced, normally heard throughout your life, that constitutes your sense of normal, thus your sense of what is rational, what is true, what is credible. So, the alternative media, I would suggest, also needs to look at itself and ask itself what its normal is. Because people like me who are questioning everything and seeing if it stands up to that questioning are as ridiculed by much of the alternative media as we are by the mainstream. Why? Because the mainstream has a normal. And the alternative media, a great chunk of it, also has a normal. Big part of the alternative media in America comes from the Christian perspective. So it's coming from the Christian normal. Other parts of it come from the scientific perspective of normal. So when you're questioning the official view of science, then you're not normal. And so it goes on. And this perception of normal, this attachment to your sense of what is credible based on your own normal, just creates the same prisons, the same perception prisons all over society, while using different labels and using different normals, but the process is exactly the same. I have a normal, therefore you're talking outside of my normal, you must be wrong, you're either mad or dangerous or on the make. And these are the things that people need to look at, both individually and collectively, and see how imprisoned by their version of normal that they are. Because the system works in many ways. It doesn't just have one belief system that it wants people to believe, therefore gotcha. What it wants is any rigid, unyielding belief system that people will not expand out of. Well, you know, I have something I call the default position. I see people all the time in certain situations reverting to default position. So, for instance, after election after election after election after election after election into infinity, of seeing increasingly obviously two candidates who are nothing more than masks on the same face, and quite demonstrably, fighting presidential elections. More and more people, not least of course in the alternative media, have said, what's the point in voting? You're just voting for two people who are controlled by the same force, basically. And then along comes Trump. And suddenly they're back to default position. And that default position is politics can change anything. And so instead of, again, holding that position of the whole political system is rigged, and people come to power and to attention because they're either acceptable to the system or absolutely 100% funded by the system, instead of holding that position of what I would say was reality, they go to default position, which is, no, politics can change it. I think that this guy's different. Now, I remember speaking in Los Angeles. We'll speak there soon again in September when I come to the United States to speak. And I was talking that night. It was in the run-up to the election between McCain and Obama. And so they were saying that, was it McCain and Obama? We went against him in the first one.
Yeah.
It was McCain.
Yeah, McCain and Obama in 2008.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Time just bloody flies. You lose track of time.
It does.
Anyway, I was talking there about the fact that Obama was nothing different to all the rest. He was just another version of it. And I wrote an article which got me a lot of stick at the time, which was Barack Obama, the Emperor's New Clothes, or words to that effect. And I talked to a Democrat talk show host afterwards, and he said to me, I bet you anything you like that Obama's not going to be what you say he is. This guy's different. And I remember saying to him, look, mate, I don't want to take your money, because it was painfully obvious that he was. One simple reason, alone among many others, Obama broke all the records for funding, and the funding of his campaign came from all the usual suspects, the banks and the corporations and what have you. They're not turkeys voting for Christmas. So, but people were saying, because he had this constant mantra of change, I stand for change, I stand for change, I stand for change, that he was different. They bought it. And of course, what he turned out to be was just a continuation of what went before.